So first of all, the moderator is Timothy Amaglomensa from the World Bank Block for Development for Dev, which is super cool. Then we have Mr. Mike Below, an entrepreneur. He is the inventor of the first solar powered lighting backpack, Solo Bag. We have Mr. Kang Chua, founder and director of These Abilities. Ms. Hayat Jawali, a social inclusion filmmaker, and Rim Badran, Girl Up, MENA Youth Advisory Lead. So let's please give them a round of applause. Very excited to listen in. So please take it away. Yes, go for it.
Hello, everyone. I hope I'm not the only one today who is moderating online. I think this year has been a bit dynamic, so I think you can give us a round of applause again. Yeah, so now I think when we are done and I go back to my friends, I can tell them that when I just started, everybody started clapping. So that's a good one. Thank you. Yeah, so dear colleagues and friends, the World Bank Group since 2013 has engaged with youth globally on the most pressing topics that are affecting our generation through the Youth Summit. And every year it focuses on a chosen theme. And this year we are happy that the theme is unlocking the power of inclusion for equitable growth through the lens of environmental, social, and economic impact. Also, to reflect on how times have changed this year for the first time, the Youth Summit is taking a hybrid approach where participants are joining online, both at the headquarters and through World Bank Online. And in 2020, the United Nations initiated a decade of action to 2030 to accelerate the work of the Sustainable Development Goals. And this decade is very important because it's supposed to create innovative solutions that would bring about green, resilient, inclusive, and great development. So in celebrating the Youth Day in 2020, His Excellency, Mr. Tijani Mohammed, who is the president of the 74th session, said that young people are trailblazers of progress. They are not only inspiring change, but they also create it. And so we are here to celebrate the undeniable work of the youth that have been crucial in creative innovations, solutions for change. So considering this, we'll be spotlighting this outstanding innovation of youth change makers. And today our topic is simply a conversation with youth change makers under some three key topics, which is one, fostering youth entrepreneurship to maximize initiatives in a green, resilient, and inclusive development. Two, barriers and challenges faced by youth in achieving equitable growth. And three, tools and support needed by youth to thrive in their development initiatives. So as a Ghanaian, I would say wizard to everyone who has taken time off their busy schedule to join us. So wait, I say welcome everyone. I would want to introduce my panelists because I'm not doing this alone. They're amazing youth change makers who are doing amazing work, as we've said. So I'll call on Mr. Mike Bello, who is an entrepreneur, an inventor of the first solar-powered lighting backpack, to give us a short introduction.
Hello, everyone. I'm really happy to be here today. My name is Mike Bello, and I am a social entrepreneur, and I'm the founder of Solo Group. Solo Group is a company, is a social company that combines profit and social impact, so to build an inclusive economy. Our flagship product is Solo Bag, which is a solar backpack that provide LED light to students who don't have access to electricity. And recently, Solo Group has launched a new product, which is Sky-Fi, that provide internet access to remote area, to area where there is no access to the internet at all. And our product is just get a patent pending in the US, and also have been admitted to the Founder Institute Incubator, a Silicon Valley incubator. So actually, we are working really hard to have this product deployed in Haiti and other countries where the access to the internet is really, the penetration rate of the internet is really low. So I'm really happy to be part of this conversation to talk about how digital economy can help create a better world.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mike. Next is Mr. Ken Chua, who is the founder and director of These Abilities. Mr. Ken Chua, you have the floor.
Thank you, Timothy. Hi, everyone. My name is Ken, and I run These Abilities, which is a social enterprise that works with people with disabilities to create more inclusive futures. And how we do that really is we do inclusive innovation consulting, working with companies, governments to reimagine what inclusive products, services, environments, campaigns, and even policies might look like. So, we do this for things that matter to us on a day-to-day basis, like banking, financial services, transportation, going to the supermarket. How can we redesign all of these experiences? Because they impact each type of disability differently. And so we're kind of like ghost writers or ghost builders who help companies to build these inclusive features, and then they get all the limelight and everything, and then we just get to create the impact. So that's the work that I do.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ken. Next, we have Ms. Hayat, who's a social inclusion filmmaker. Ms. Hayat, you have the floor.
Thank you. It's really nice to meet everyone. My name is Hayat, and I'm an Egyptian filmmaker. I focus most of my work mainly on issues related to global politics and diversity and identity. And most recently, I worked on a Marvel series called Moon Knight, which introduced the first ever Arab and Egyptian female superhero. So that was quite awesome.
That's great, Ms. Hayat. The next we have Ms. Rim, who's a Girl Up advisor in Lebanon. Ms. Rim, you have the floor.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here with you all. So my name is Rim. I'm Lebanese and currently based in Beirut. I'm the founder of Girl Up Lebanon and Girl Up Arab Board. I also served as a teen advisor for Girl Up, and currently I'm the lead in the MENA Youth Advisory Board for Girl Up. So what we usually do is to really advance girls' rights, opportunities, and skills to be leaders globally. And my capacity is really to focus on the Arab region and the Middle East. Alongside my work with Girl Up, I am also a member of the Youth Accountability Panel at She Decides. I'm currently finishing my first year of university, double majoring in law at Paris 2 Panthéon-Assas and international affairs at the Lebanese American University. And thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited for this panel.
Thank you so much, Ms. Rim. I think we need to give all my panelists a round of applause. These are amazing change makers. So, as the proverbial African adage goes, it is the young trees that make up the forest. This conversation will not only highlight youth change makers actively working to make their communities better, but it will also serve as a testament of the undeniable role of the youth to want to build back better for an inclusive and equitable growth. So at the end of this session, we'll have a very short question and answers, and we'll also have an open intervention session where people who have done amazing work in their communities would come up and tell us about their story and inspire others that are following online. So I'd say that you should, if you're watching us online or you're in person, just grab a coffee, a glass of water, a drink, and let's get interactive for the next hour. Thank you. So I would want to just delve into our first point of call. We would want to talk about how youth have fostered entrepreneurship to maximize initiatives in a green, resilient, and inclusive education, because young people have been very significant in terms of having first-hand knowledge in their communities, and they have an unjustifiable position in providing innovative solutions to problems. And it's very expedient that we pay particular attention to the youth and know how they've come up to make those changes. Because according to the World Economic Forum, one in 5 people globally aged between 15 and 34 are either unemployed or not engaged in formal education or not involved in any training. And in some countries, this is as high as 60%, but this presents an opportunity for youth as well as a challenge. So we'd want to hear from our people. So I'll start with my first question, and it goes to, I would want Ms. Hayat to take up this question for me. I want to know what was the triggering solution or situation that made you want to impact your community or make a global change?
Thank you. Yeah, so honestly, I think I've been interested in issues kind of related to culture and from a very young age. My mom worked at the work, so Take Matters was when I realized that there was so much room to like make a change because I was in a predominantly white school, and so I joined what we had called the diversity club at the time, and I started participating in a lot of little changes, which kind of led me on the track that I'm on now.
Thank you, Ms. Hayat. I would want to also ask same to Ms. Rim. What was the triggering situation that, like, what occurred that made you to want to make a global change?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So I really believe that there wasn't any like very single situation or multiple situations, but I do believe that fact of being born in the Middle East in a time where on a like daily basis there's something happening and you feel that your community is affected. So I really didn't have the choice to like step aside and wait for change to happen, but I really had to like take things with my own hands and to really acknowledge my privilege and the fact that I did have access to a lot of resources and you know, a supportive community. So this really pushed me to do something. But if I 100% should answer that question, I would definitely say that, I mean, being able to witness the Lebanese revolution a couple of years ago, where it was a kind of like the first time where I saw like people really in Lebanon taking the streets to demand for their rights and, you know, organizing groups. So that really kind of pushed me to stay involved and to do a lot of things, not just for my country, but also for my region and the other board.
Okay, so thank you, Rim. For Mr. Mike, I would want to ask you, in your opinion, how does being a young entrepreneur help you make an impact?
Thank you for the question. So first of all, I would like to start by sharing my recent story about my last innovation. So during the outbreak of the COVID-19, where in more than 100 countries that school was closed, and most of the developed country, the school went online using Zoom, using Google Classroom, using all the tools online. But in Haiti, so where I'm teaching as a university professor, so I was thinking about to bring the same experience, and so where I try to take my class in Zoom and Google Classroom. But in a class of 65 students, so there was only 15 students that was able to complete the class online. So you see the disparity that exists between the country that have the access to the internet, country that have access to no internet. Because in Haiti, the internet penetration is just about 25. So there is more than 65% of the population who don't have access to the internet. And then after that, so I conduct an assessment, a survey to ask the student why they cannot complete the class online. And then they say, so the first answer that I have is that the data rate to stream a class is really high. They don't have money to do it. Also, there's some people that say that's where they are living. So they are living in a remote area and the connection is really, really bad. And that the reason, so after that, so I go with my team. So I'm gonna share my screen with you.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. Also, I would want to know from Mr. Ken Chua, from your perspective, in your opinion, how does being a young entrepreneur help you make an impact, especially since you are an inventor of a first solar-powered lightning backpack? How has that journey impacted whatever you are doing in your community? And you can also give us some initiatives that you've implemented and what the journey has been like too as well.
All right, sure. So I think Mike wanted to share his screen just now, and maybe later if he wants to share more about the backpack, please feel free to do so. I guess for me, to that question, because the work that I do mainly is around consulting with governments and companies, what I really appreciate about youth entrepreneurs and just youth in general is that we're not tainted or conditioned by the system, right? We come in with fresh pair of eyes, we're curious, we think different, and we wonder why must things remain the way it is, right? That I think very promising systems change makers. And when you do that, it will constantly mean that you're trying to fight the system, you're trying to change it, which means 9 out of 10 times the system beats you. So that's where resilience also grows. But for example, for me, I'm already in my 30s, and even for me, it feels as though I need a fresh injection of fresh blood, people that are much younger than me, to really look at things way differently. Because I also do think that generation gaps are getting smaller and smaller, and we all have our own ways of doing things in different cultures as well. And so I think a combination of all of those across age groups, across cultures, across different identities will really help us to question, why the big guys, want the status quo to remain, and what we can do to change it. So for me, it's really that we're not conditioned, and we're not shy to question. I know I might be butchering this in French, but I think it's called enfant terrible, which means, okay, I see a nod from Hayat, so okay, that's good. But essentially, you ask such simple questions that actually make the professionals go like, wait, why are you asking that question? But at the same time, like, yeah, I didn't give it a hard think, right? And that's what youth do all the time. And I am one of the World Economic Forum Global Shapers as well. And that's one of our jobs when we go to events like Davos. We question the politicians, the CEOs on these sorts of things. And it's actually very satisfying just to see them like kind of just freeze for a moment and just relook or rethink how they're doing things. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Ken. On that freezing note, would want to delve into our second topic, which is barriers and challenges that are faced by youth in achieving equitable growth. And I would want to state that entrepreneurs are known to be catalysts for social change, and the level playing field has been difficult to achieve, especially for entrepreneurs that are from the developing countries, in quotes. And so there are a lot of backlogs in terms of financing projects, how to get legal regulatory operations, sometimes cultural factors that pose challenges to the lot of work that youth do in terms of entrepreneurship to make change in their communities and globally. So I'd want to ask, what are some of the challenges young entrepreneurs face that prevents them from making an impact towards a more equitable growth? And I would want to start with you, Mr. Ken. What, in your view, is some of the challenges that young entrepreneurs face?
Yeah, I think I'll start more broadly first, to kind of really look at it through a different lens. So for me, I work mainly in within the system, right? And what happens with that is young people are always constantly brushed aside and whitewashed as inexperienced, and even if they do work with you, sometimes it can be very patronizing. It's like they just want to do it for some other ulterior motive, like for CSR or something like that, right? And I guess what the youth have to do is not just to really push your agenda, but you must also play their game. You need to learn their game, learn the system, and to kind of, prove people wrong by their own rules, in order to make a statement, right? And that's how we really get the message across, that youth actually are capable within the same realms that professionals currently gatekeep us out of. I think at the same time for youths, we're definitely way more resourceful in this age of social media, and just the internet age, right? So it comes to things when you're even looking at legal aid, when you're looking at how you're going to plan your pitch deck, and how you're gonna do your term sheet. You have so much reference just from the internet and just trying to put it all together. I think we're resourceful that way, helps us a lot, and we just do more homework than a lot of seasoned veterans, right? And that's how we kind of impress as well.
Thank you, Mr. Ken. That was very insightful. I would want to ask Ms. Hayat, what could be the different ways to address or tackle these challenges in your view? And what do you think are the different ways which we could address challenges, like some of the challenges that Mr. Ken stated in his submission?
Yeah, of course. And I think what's really interesting is that Ken and I navigate in very different fields, and yet the problems are so similar. One of the main issues that I've kind of seen in the film industry and the media industry in general is the fact that the gatekeepers are still the same. They're usually middle-aged, they're European or American, and the problem is like getting access to people from different parts of the world, to youth. And in my view, one of the main problems that kind of arise, like one of the reasons that this problem exists, is because opportunities are taken away due to issues of like freedom of movement. So I think one of the main things I think that we could try to work on as a solution is giving opportunities to people to be able to travel more freely, in my field, it's to be able to go to festivals or to shoot different films in different countries. Like cultural exchange has so much power to help solve a lot of the issues that we're all working on collectively. But the problem is, if you can't leave your city or your country to go somewhere else to be a part of that change, well then, it stops there, unfortunately. So I think that's definitely one of the things. And then on a similar note, it's just always as well, there's kind of like a ripple effect. So if you decide, like as a company, to hire one person that comes from a different background, comes from a different country, or is younger, because obviously there are so many ways to have different voices involved in the creative process. So once you hire one person, it will immediately have a ripple effect, because they will naturally start bringing on more people from their backgrounds, from their countries. So to use an example, like on the series that I recently worked on, Marvel, which is obviously one of the biggest companies in the entertainment industry, they made the decision to trust an Egyptian director to direct the series, and naturally he managed to make it more authentic by bringing along an Egyptian editor, an Egyptian composer, like a lot of actors from the Arab world. And it all took one decision, which was, okay, we want to make this authentic, we want to make sure that we're bringing a different voice. And so that decision ended up having immense impact when it comes to representation and inclusion. So it really just takes a bit of trust and a bit of like beforehand, like before launching a project, before making a movie, no matter what kind of field you're working, sitting down and being like, how can we make sure this room includes as many people from different backgrounds as possible? Because then once that's done from the get-go, it naturally makes the rest of the process so much more inclusive and so much more just representative of the beautiful diversity of our world. So
that's a great submission, Hayat. And this makes me even think about the intersectionality of our problems, like in terms of being Black, being from Africa, being a woman, and all these things. And this brings me to my question to Rim, especially being a part of the Girl Up initiative. I'd want to know, what are the problems that young entrepreneurs face in the MENA region, and how can we address those problems?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, I definitely echo everything that Hayat or Ken said. It's really important. I also believe that it's not limited to one single industry or one field. I mean, we talk about problems when it comes to accessing capital. We talk about legal challenges. I mean, for example, leading Girl Up Lebanon, all of us are under 21, and so we can't register the initiative because by laws we should turn like 21 and then register the initiative. And if we are not registered, we can't access funds. So I really think it's multiple factors that really affects everything. How can we really kind of fight these challenges is, first of all, bring everyone on board. It's governments, it's other institutions, organizations, it's also the society as a whole. We always hear that, oh yeah, but young people are not that successful. And for example, being in such an event where we shed light on the success of young people and we showcase our hard work, this is a way to break away the stereotype and to really push a lot of people to trust young people, as Hayat said, how important it is to like have trust in young people. I also believe that, I mean, one of the very important steps, especially in the Arab region, is to advocate on a governmental level, because this is mostly one of the levels where we face a lot of problems and where there's a lot of potential to change things. Because if we're able to change things on a governmental level, then we would be able to change things on like a more local and societal level, and then hopefully be able to have our path easier to create change.
Right. I would really want to hear from Mike, especially because you are an entrepreneur and you have created the first solar power lightning backpack. And I would want to know, because I'm sure this didn't come like just on a silver platter. You had to surmount certain challenges. And I'd want you to speak on those challenges and how you were able to surmount them. So Mike, sorry.
Okay. First of all, one of the biggest challenge that the entrepreneur have to face is the access to capitals. Because when you just launch a product, like when you launch a startup, and you won't get a loan from the bank, and also there's no angel investor in Haiti that when they saw an opportunity, they gonna invest. So you have to use other means that were to access to this capital. For example, in my case, when I launched SoloBag, so one of the things that I used was the co-funding. I used Kickstarter, and also I used GoFundMe to get access to launch the first batch of the SoloBag. And also recently I launched a project which is gonna share you. So I launched a project which is a Skyfight. The Skyfight, as I mentioned, is a kite that provide access to remote area where there is no access to the internet. So this Skyfight is like a flying cell phone tower. So in Haiti, as I mentioned before, the internet penetration rate is just about 25%. And then most of people, they don't have access to the internet to go to study or to do homework, to do everything. So as I am in the education system, or how is it for the people to go to Zoom or to stream a class online? So I create innovation. But as I create this innovation, to get access to capital, to join and venture capitalists to invest in this project, it was really difficult. So what I was obliged to do is to move to the US, so where this vision was incubated and the institute sleep. That's where they provide us everything about the patent, about everything that we're gonna need to take this company that's gonna bring the change. So access to capital, access to incubator, and a lot of things. So it's really, really, really hard in Haiti. So to have access to those things, as we don't have yet a culture of startup in Haiti, and also the ecosystem. We don't have the ecosystem that support startup, that support social company. So most of the over there, they are just in buy somewhere and just import in Haiti so they can sell over there. But the culture of innovation create new stuff to challenge social problem. It's not there yet. So we have to find other way to go over the system to fund our own startup, to use other method, to use the internet, the technology to the startup. So yeah, the challenge is really hard to have access to the capital. I think is the main challenge over there.
That's very insightful, Mike. And I think that since we've spoken about the challenges and the problems that youth face in terms of making development, we'd want to do a bit of specifics. So we'd want to talk about the tools and support needed by youth to thrive in their development initiatives, because along with the diversity of the fresh perspective that the youth bring, the youth are known as the native global speakers in terms of the new decade, which is the decade of action, because we are the most tech-savvy people. We are the most people that have used social media to create change. And then we are also the media-driven generation. So I would want to engage my panelists if what tools and means that the youth can use to be actors of a global change or within their community. And I would want to start with Rim. You are a gender equality advocate, and I want to know what is the role of media and technology in the advocacy work that you do.
Yes, definitely. As you mentioned, I think it's really important the role social media had, and especially considering that we are young people, and as everyone mentioned before, we don't have access to capital. So it is not that easy for us to access traditional media platforms. And so like social media was really a very important alternative for us. An alternative that is free, but also very easy to access. And especially when it comes to activism and working from the Middle East and from the Arab region, where, I mean, we do have like a lot of stereotypes on the region, and we don't really own our very own narrative. So I think really what helped us when we had access to social media is to build our very own narrative, but also to build a community of like-minded people. So I really think that the reason why we succeeded at Girl Up Lebanon is our presence on Instagram. That really kind of pushed us to have like partnerships with other organizations, because this was our way to showcase our work, and this is how people heard about us. We had a lot of people reaching out to us on DMs. This is also how we started the Girl Up Arab Board. So it was really thanks to social media, to our presence, and like as the panel before us, they mentioned TikTok. So I really think we are grateful to be living in an era where social media has like an impact, and also because young people know the limits and the dangers that could arise from our access to social media. So how we do work on that, and also how we think to benefit from social media.
Thank you, Rim. I would want to also know from you, Hayat, since you use film to create change and promote social inclusion, I'd want to know specifically, why did you decide to use film as a medium to promote diversity and inclusion, and also the importance of diversity and social inclusion in media?
Yeah, of course. So I think for me, the fascinating thing about film and media is just that it's very accessible, right? So there's 1,000 ways to make an impact, and there's 1,000 ways to discuss the issues that we're discussing. But a lot of them aren't accessible to everyone, whether it be because of their age, because they're very young, or because of their access to these kinds of like things like academia, which can be hard to kind of digest. So what's really amazing about film and media is that everyone all around the world will sit down at some point during their week and like watch a TV series or go to the movies, or even now on their phones, you know, like everyone's streaming. And so you just have an amazing opportunity to reach millions of people all around the world. And so when I was kind of, you know, I knew I wanted to make an impact and I knew I wanted to promote inclusion, but I didn't really know how. And then I realized that the thing that had affected me most as I was growing up was the movies I watched and the series that I watched. And when you think about it, we are shaped by everything that we watch growing up, especially our generations where we really lived our whole lives kind of already with the access to all these things at the click of a button. And so what the power that we have if we start to make these films and series and everything not only inclusive, but also like actively discuss issues related to identity and to cultural exchange and all of that, then we have the power to really also reach people who usually wouldn't naturally want to talk about these issues. And I think that's what's really great, is that sometimes like maybe what if someone goes in to watch a movie and they're expecting that it's just a rom-com or just a musical or just a superhero movie, and then they, you know, all of a sudden they realize that wait, like it's actually talking about something that I wouldn't want to hear about, but you get attached to the characters so much that when you come out, you've changed your mind a little bit about how you view another country or another people or anything like that. So I think that's really what fascinates me about film and media as a means to promote social inclusion and diversity and all of that. So again, like I mentioned briefly, the series I worked on and the Egyptian superhero that we've introduced in it. And, you know, I had so many people were mentioning how now they're so much more proud of like their curls, because the main character, she has big curly hair, and that's just something they hadn't seen on screen before. And I'm sure that for generations to come, like a lot of younger women who or girls who have curly hair will be less afraid to go to school in the morning and like have to straighten their hair. And there are little things like that that actually make a huge difference when it comes to, again, to inclusion, to representation, and to just making everyone feel more confident.
Okay, I would want Ken to address this for me briefly. Why is digital integration necessary for social inclusion? Because looking at what Hayat said in terms of using film as a medium to promote diversity, do you think for what you do with disabilities, like why is digital integration necessary for social inclusion?
Yeah, I think that's because, you know, we are moving into the fourth industrial revolution, and with that, everything is being digitized, right? And for me, because I'm an ally to people with disabilities, of all types of disabilities, how they adapt to digitalization is different. So take, for example, if you're talking about people who are blind, and if you think about digital services, they're usually more visual than anything else, right? And, you know, with that, there comes the worry that, you know, we are seeing a lot of companies kind of digitizing their products and service offerings. But at the same time, you know, they are slowly removing all the offline versions of things. So for example, if you're talking about, let's say, an ATM machine, right? And how, you know, as we digitize, they're moving more towards mobile banking or, you know, iBanking. And with that, they're slowly removing cash, which actually is a way that actually has tactile, in most currencies have a tactile element for blind people to be able to tell how much they're holding in their hands, right? And so as companies digitize, if they are not cognizant of who they might potentially be excluding by removing the existing accessible options, and also not mindful of ensuring that the new digital solutions are not inclusive, then essentially they're going to be casting out a lot of people, as they progress, and that's worrying, right? And so that's why digital inclusion is so important in social inclusion. The other thing I would add also, which is what I do daily. It's really about how it's not just what digital integration can do for people with disabilities, but also what people with disabilities can do for technology, right? You'd be surprised to know that a lot of the technological features that we come to use and love on a daily basis actually were inspired by disability first, right? And an example I would give is autocomplete. We use it on Google, we use it on Microsoft Documents. You type a little bit and the computer tries to guess what the full word is. How that came about was because people with upper limb extremities could not type fast enough and accurately enough. So they developed the system in order to help them to guess. And so as they did that, it suddenly became something more of a speed thing rather than a disability thing, right? And we all love speed, right? And so because we had to think a little bit more extreme for the fringes of the human spectrum, we now come to enjoy the innovation and the delightful experience, right? So I think it's a symbiotic relationship. We can't just see it one way as how technology helps the vulnerable, but how the vulnerable can also help to improve technology as well. Otherwise, technology will just be too boring.
This is a very important note, and I would want to go back to Hayat because she works with film. And so I'd want to know how like people with disabilities or people living with any disabilities have influenced film in any way or have the opportunity to promote the film industry in terms of diversity and social inclusion. Like,
yeah, of course. I mean, there's always work that needs to be done. And I think it's a conversation that's happening a lot in Hollywood now in terms especially of casting. And it's how can we make sure that we're not just talking about like telling stories about people with disabilities, but making sure that they're included in the process. And I think there's a lot of technology now in the film industry that allows us to kind of have more opportunities for people, because with green screens and LED screens and everything, you actually don't necessarily have to travel to shoot and all of these things. So hopefully, again, like there's always so much more work to do, but I think it's a very important conversation that needs to be had, and I'm glad that at least it's starting.
Yeah, I'd be happy to chip in on that as well, Timothy. I think.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
Oh, so can I share or?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah, just really quickly. I think, yeah, in disability representation in film, I think we've come a long way. For example, the Oscars they're still trying to be more inclusive. Tribeca Film Festival, and the rest. And I think most recently, we had a Academy Award winner, right? For Coda, and that was a fully deaf cast. But at the same time, the producers as well. And I think how, again, in this case, deaf people lends to film rather than film lends to deafness, is that that same actor, the one who won the award, was also doing a lot of sign language interpretation for, I believe it was The Mandalorian, right? And creating new forms of visual language to make the Mandalorian series a lot more vibrant. Right. And that's just an example I want to share as well. And it's a symbiotic relationship, but we need to trust that, it's a two-way street rather than we're just helping someone who.
Wants to go to Mike specifically on his work with the solar backpack, how he thinks technology. So Mike, how do you think technology helps address social issues in developing countries?
So, I think so. I share with you the solar backpack that we create. The solar bag is a solo bag, which is a backpack that powered by solar panel, and then the student wear the backpack and go to school. And once get back, they can use the LED light that come with the backpack to study at night. So the occasion is about all the technology can help social inclusion. So I would like to take an example in Haiti. So before in the years of 2010, so the unbanking population was about 80%, and it's not just 20% of the population have a bank account. But there is a lot of progress that have been made by using mobile banking. Like in Haiti, we have more cash, we have not cash, we have a lot of cell phone company, many cell phone company now start using mobile payment, so to create the financial inclusion. And nowadays, today, so even so, where the traditional banking system has failed, now the mobile banking system succeed, because today, so more than 90% of the population have access to the mobile banking. So I think that is a lot of progress. This is all the technology have helped, and many other sector in Haiti, the technology has helped. So as I show you previously, it's what we are trying to do to see all we can use where the traditional system has failed. So, or we can use new technology to compensate the failure of the traditional system. That the reasons I create this innovation where in Haiti, the telecom is where it too costly for the telecom to go to bring the internet. Or the startup, the young people, what can we do to more people have access to the digital world? Because so nowadays there is 3.7 billion population in the world that don't have access to the internet, and most of those people, they are living in poor country, like in Africa. 75% of the population don't have access to internet, and Haiti only 26% the penetration rate of internet. All we young people, or can we create startup that can change this, or we can come up with innovation, with something new that can beat the traditional system? Because to bring internet to a community, a telecom gonna need more than $100,000 to put a cell phone tower. So now we come up with a system that's gonna cost more than 10 times less. So this is all we think that we're gonna drive the change with the new technology, with a new approach. Because so as the world move really fast, we have in the developing world, we have to move fast too. Because most of the solution that we hope for, it won't come up with somewhere else. It's supposed to come with us, because we know the problem, we know how to address it. So what we have to do is to use our innovative mind to come with the solution that can help us succeed, that can help us beat the traditional system, that can help us revolutionize industry where traditional industry has failed. So this is what I think. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mike. I think now it is time for us to hear from our delegates who are online and those who are in person. So if you have any question you want to ask, or you want to share something, change that you've done in your community to inspire people who are in person and online, you can send those comments, those questions. And if you're in person, you can come closer to the mic and just say your question or speak about what you've done to make a change. But before then, I would like us to give a round of applause to our wonderful panelists for doing this great work today. I would want to take a first question. So our first question is from Roy Moasia. He says, what steps are you taking in your various initiatives or companies to ensure that youth with disabilities are not left out of the conversation? And I would want Mike to take this question first, and then Ken before we go to Hayat and Rim. So, Mike.
Can you repeat the question again for me, please?
Yeah, so the question is, what steps are you taking in your various initiatives or companies to ensure that youth with disabilities are not left out of the conversation?
So that's a really interesting question. So in our company, so as I mentioned before, we are a social company that working to bring a more inclusive digital economy. In Haiti, most of the work that we have done it with some organizations that work with disadvantaged people, for example, the disabilities and the people with that don't have access to much capital to buy our stuff. So the business model that we use, we work with organizations that have more capital. So or also the organization that work with disabilities, organizations that work with other people. So we partnership with them and we bring our innovation with them. So we the objective is not left anyone behind. So there is a lot of people, disability people, that using our solar backpack because it's really efficient and it's really cost effective. So I think we can probably can say more about this issue since you work more closely with the disabilities.
Yeah. So quickly, Ken, if you can answer briefly this question.
Yeah, I think this is the easiest for me to take, right? And it's always interesting to see how, everyone else, it's a creative exercise, how people with disabilities are included. One philosophy for me in the work that I do is that I never take a what I call a doctor-patient relationship. I never just ask people with disabilities what's their problem and then build solutions without them. It's always a participatory design process. And that means that I need to bring them up to that level of solutioning. So if blind people need to know how to create apps that can help them with their daily living, I teach them how to design and build apps, right? So that they can speak the same languages of your UX designers or your software engineers at Google and everywhere else. It's a lot of hard work, but I believe it's short-term pain for long-term gain. And they take that skills back to the community and create so much good and things that surprise me sometimes. So yeah.
Ooh, thank you so much, Ken and Mike. We would want to take another question from somebody in person. So.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Fatoumata Diarra-Souba from Côte d'Ivoire, co-founder of African Energy Connect, a clean energy startup specializing in providing climate smart technologies in off-grid areas. My question goes to Mr. Mike Bello. First of all, I would like to commend you for the innovative solo bag. And secondly, I wanted to ask whether your new innovations, Kitefly, if I pronounce it well, is it something that you think it's scalable in other areas of the world, like in West Africa? And also if you are open to also scale up the solo bag in other regions, such as West Africa. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for the question, and congratulations also for top. And yes, the solar bag, actually we have been in partnership with Taiwan to bring the solar bag to some of African country, the African country that has diplomatic relation with Taiwan. Actually, we are creating partnership with Taiwan foreign ministry to bring the solar bag. That means it's a product that can scale. And for the Skyfight is actually in the prototype phase. And we get a lot of support. For example, we get support from Google that have give us multiple patents that help us that bring this project to life. And also we have the institute that help us with the incubator to bring this project to the less to the disadvantaged people. As we map the project, we're gonna start first Kosovo and Haiti. So, and after we get everything done there, so we take the assessment, we do everything, and we're gonna scale it to Africa, or not only in Africa, to everywhere in the world where it is too costly for telecom company to go there. We're gonna just work as a relay for them. So we are not going to replace the traditional system, telecom system. We're gonna work with them. So where it's too costly for them to go to bring their antenna, so us, we're gonna go there through the remote area and to everywhere. So, and one of the advantage of our product is, for example, when there is hurricane, for example, in Haiti, there is a lot of hurricane. So most of the time, they cell phone on tower, so they fell down because of the hurricane. So our product gonna, and when you can pass, there is absolutely no connection. So it's not happen on only poor country or developing country. It's happened everywhere. For example, in Miami, there is hurricane, and sometimes the connection is over. There is no connection because the traditional cell phone tower can really resist to this kind of catastrophe. So us, what we create, the kite that we create, can take over, can bring communication back to the situation. And I think this innovation is not only for developing country. We're gonna scale it, and everywhere that there is a need to connection. So our aims is to connect the unconnected people.
Thank you so much, Mike. If we would want to take another question from somebody in person.
Good morning, everybody. And thanks to all the speakers, I really appreciate it. Then to Mr. Mike, thank you very much for that very innovative backpack. And I hope it gets to Nigeria soon. My name is Agnes and I'm Nigerian. I do not really have a direct question, but it's more of a rhetorical question to everyone here and those online. So my question is, as a youth, what are you really doing? What are you doing to the next youth beside you? In as much as you're not on the table, or the government might not be doing anything, or the leaders you expect to do something, they're not doing anything. What are you doing to the next person around you who does not have probably a skill or a facility or a resources like a laptop or something that the person can use? And this is the reason I'm saying this. I'm here today by the grace of God and by the grace of people that God has kept around me, either strangers or even friends. They were youths, or they are youths. I had people who gave me stipends in school. I had people who gave me laptop to use. And now today I'm here. There are some youth out there, you know one person, or you know one person that knows another person who doesn't have this thing, but the person really wants to get to this stage. So I just want to push it out to us, because I don't know, it's been boiling inside of me since yesterday, and I just think I have to still say this. There is someone you can actually pick somewhere. There is someone you can try to invest in. It could be one or two resources. It could be few dollars that you can help to train one particular youth. And just like Hayat said, it's going to be like a ripple effect. Once you help someone, then the next person, when the person gets well equipped and developed, that other person can help someone else. I'm happy I'm here today, getting equipped, getting developed. And I know that eventually I'm able to raise someone else that can help someone else. So as youth, as individuals, while waiting for our leaders, while waiting for the government to do something, you can pick up someone. We do not have excuses. We are youths. We should help other youths. We should help to raise other people. I know most of us are privileged. Most of us have the resources, but there are some people out there who do not have it. If you've never experienced poverty, good enough for you. But just check deep down. Someone knows someone that needs help. Thank you.
That is a very interesting and inspiring submission. I would want to take one question, which is online. And that question goes to Ms. Hayat. The question is, you worked in a creation of the Moon Knight, a design series that showcases many topics related to inclusivity, mental health, inclusive language, culture, and perceptions. Can you please share your role and how you have seen its impact across the world since its launch?
Of course, yes. So my role on the series, I was the assistant to the lead director and executive producer, Mohamed Diab, who's an Egyptian filmmaker. And the impact, I mean, honestly, it's been incredible seeing just how much it's touched people all around the world, but just from the top of my head, 3 of the things that have been amazing to witness. First of all, it's that it's created a conversation around dissociative identity disorder and mental health in what I think is quite a healthy and productive way. Dissociative identity disorder has been portrayed on the screen many times before, but always in ways that has actually had more negative than positive impact. And we did a lot of work behind the scenes to try and be as accurate in its depiction as possible. And I think it's been great seeing people kind of have more initiative and wanting to learn more about it and to discuss mental health in general. So that's one of the few points that I think have really been interesting to see. And then another one, which is more of a fun one, but it's that it's really sparked interest all around the world in Egyptian culture and art. So the soundtrack, which has largely been or has largely consisted in a lot of Arab and Egyptian music, has actually been topping the charts all around the world. So you have artists in Egypt who have usually only been listened to locally. Now there's comments on all their YouTube videos being like, hey, like I'm from Nicaragua and I'm listening to your music. So that's really great positive impact that we can see on the creative economy in Egypt and the Arab world. And then finally, it's kind of reversed, I think, the representation and portrayal of Middle Eastern characters on the screen. Obviously, in a post 9/11 world, usually Arab characters have always been represented in a way that's, you know, they're evil, they're bad, etc. And finally, you have all these characters, and especially Layla Fouli, who is one of the lead roles, who is a superhero, and it's changed, I think, the perception of a lot of people from outside the Arab world who are looking in on this region for the first time from a positive light, but also from inside the Arab world in Egypt, who are looking at themselves finally in a way that's like, oh, like we can be superheroes as well. And I think that's been really magical to see.
Thank you so much, Hayat. I think we've lost time, so we would want to take just one question from the people in person. So we would like that you would send your questions and your comments online, and then we can comment on there. So we would want to take just one last question from somebody in person.
Good morning. My name is Laziana, and I am a recent graduate from GW in global gender policy. And I more so have, I just wanted to share one of my recent research work on bringing economic opportunities to marginalized populations, including youth. And I just wanted to share that, addressing youth inclusion, a lot of that also has to do with ensuring that, ensuring the socioeconomic integration, socioeconomic integration through tailored policies and programming, which a lot of that includes, addressing some of the barriers that youths are actually going through in a lot of developing countries, which includes some of these barriers are the high the high on school dropouts, gender gaps, which encompasses, a lot of women not being able to attend school as a result of gender norms, patriarchal norms. Also, a lot of youths not being given the opportunity to voice out their opinions in public spaces. And we also have a lot of schools or academic institutions that are failing to actually provide the adequate skills to youths to actually, or prepare them, for the challenges that they will face in the labor market. And last but not least, and the government too, which also goes back to policy implementation, the government, the poor rule of law, bad governance, corruption. So that's just what I wanted to share as far as my experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We would want to take one last question from online, and this question goes to Rim. The question says, since finance is a huge challenge for the continuity of most social entrepreneurial projects, how are you ensuring that your projects are sustainable? And Rim, can you please do this in the space of 1 minute?
Yes, definitely. So my go-to advice is definitely when it comes to the planning aspect. So before you take any project and also think on the long term. And the second advice would be your network, because even though you don't have access to funds, but most probably another organization will have access. So making sure that you have a network and other organizations that are ready to step in when you need funds. And also not organizations, but members. There is a lot of, as we mentioned before, social media and other alternative methods, other than traditional methods, that are more accessible and free. So definitely our way to shed light on these methods and to use them. And there's no problem in, like saying that you don't have access to funds and that you're taking it really a step-by-step approach.
Thank you so much, Rim. I would want us to do one final thing. Like in the space of 1 minute, I'll give all the panelists an opportunity to give an advice. So what advice would you give youth who are interested in following similar paths as yours? So I'll start with Hayat, then I'll go to Ken, and then Mike, then Rim. So Hayat, you have the floor. In the space of 1 minute, please make it short for us. Thank you.
Of course. I think what I would like to highlight is just that there are so many different ways to make an impact. And so I think the most important thing is choose what you're passionate about and what you love doing, and then try to figure out how you can use that to make an impact. So I've been really lucky, I've always been passionate about the arts. I've always been passionate about film, and I wake up every day and I'm excited to do that. But on top of that, I ask myself every day, okay, while I'm doing that, how can I make sure that I'm also kind of trying to solve the issues on a global scale that I'm interested in? But so long as you're doing it in a way that you're passionate about, then you will have impact, because the more passionate you are, the more people will listen to you, because that will shine through when you talk about what you're doing. And so I think you can kind of see that with everyone on this panel today. Everyone is so passionate about their work and we're doing such different things, but at the same time, we're all helping kind of advance the same topics that we're interested in.
Okay, Ken, can you please go? Please, we don't have time, so if you can make it 30 seconds for us, then when you are done, Mike, you can just jump in and Rim, and then we'll wrap up. Thank you.
All right, I would say that, when it comes to creating impact, what has worked for me on my journey is, to always be curious, to be bold, and to be adventurous. CBA, if you want the invert of ABC. And that really helps people to dream, right? And rewrite the narrative, help people to imagine what a better future might look like. So that's something that, I would give advice for. And lastly, I think, related to the finance question is, even though you're young, know your worth, right? There'll always be someone who will value you for what you truly deserve to be valued at, and never settle for less as well. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Mike?
Yeah, I think combining profit and purpose is really difficult, and it's a really long-term task. So I think this requires commitment. If you cannot commit, as Ryan mentioned it, so about passion. If you cannot commit to something, if you are not passionate about something, so don't do it. Keep looking for what you're passionate about and invest yourself in it. So last thing I want to mention too is everything that you're doing is try to do it in a new way. That because I believe in not in innovation. So if it's not about innovation, I will not be here with you. So I could have done something else, but I put innovation in every problem that I want to solve. So I want to solve the electricity problem. So I bring solo bag. I want to solve the internet problem. I come up with Sky-Fi. I put innovation in front of everyone. And it's the only way that we can beat the traditional system when we try to be as more as innovative that we can do. The tools are out there, so it's just try to use your mind to come up with something that is unique, that's something that can serve everyone.
Okay, thank you so much, Rim.
If I should really answer very fast, put yourself out there, and believe me that, I mean, not all of us got it right from that first time, so it's okay to make mistakes. Make sure also to reach out to a lot of people. A lot of young people are willing to help. Don't hesitate to reach out, to build a network, a supportive community, because like we're all learning. Just, put yourself out there and you will do amazing stuff.
I would want to say a big thank you to our panelists, for everyone who has joined online and also in person. I think my key points taken from this is to build a potent ecosystem for development, and also build have a rippling effect of whatever we do, and also be passionate about what we do. So you can follow myself and the other panelists. We can get interactive on social media. We are all on LinkedIn and other social media platforms. Let's get interactive there. And thank you so much for joining this session. Have a wonderful